Well, friends, it is Friday, but as we say, Sunday's a-coming. It's Friday! Hooray! So glad. Made it to another Friday, going through the Word daily. A daily walk. Are you enjoying these 5-day? I hope you are. If you are, I'd encourage you, hey, reach out to somebody else. Tell them about it. Share this with somebody. Let us know what you think. Are you enjoying going through the Gospel Mark? Hey, how about this? Why not in the comment section? What's God teaching you? What's God showing you? How's He ministering to you? We'd love to hear. Love the feedback. Always encourages us. And it's a blessing, truly. Well, ending here in the 5th chapter of Mark's Gospel, as we have observed Jesus' power over creation, His power over demonic spirits, His power over disease. In a moment, we're going to see His power over death. Jesus had arrived back on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and He is with His disciples, and He was approached by a religious leader, a synagogue ruler named Jairus. Jairus begged Jesus, come to my house. My daughter's 12 years old. 12 years of joy, 12 years. I mean, oh, what a blessing. But she was about to die. Something had happened to her. Some physical malady had grabbed hold of her body, and she was fading quickly. Jairus is fighting through the crowd, trying just to get home. But Jesus stops along the way because a woman with an issue of blood grabbed hold of His garment and was healed. And it kind of stopped Jairus from getting where he needed to go. And so that's where we left off last time. And so if you look here, it says in verse 35, while He was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house, who said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? Try to put yourself for a moment in Jairus' place. You waited, you fought through the crowd to get to the feet of Jesus. Jesus agreed to come to your home. You're almost there. There's hope. And then you get a word. She's gone. It's too late. There's no hope. It's over. What do you do at that moment? How do you respond to that? I imagine Jairus, there's really no words. But look at the words of Jesus. This is so powerful. As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, He said to the ruler of the synagogue, do not be afraid, only believe. Here's what they said. She's gone. This is what He said. Don't be afraid, believe. Folks, I hope you realize this. There is such a difference between what people say and what God says. Sometimes we're so prone to listen to what people say. Well, they said, and they told me, and this is what the doctor said, and this is what she said, and this is what my neighbor said. Well, this is what my sister said. Hey, what is Jesus saying? Because that rules over everybody else. What does He say? What Jesus said, don't be afraid. And you only say that to people who are. And He said, only believe. And you only say that to people who don't. All this man had to go on was the words of Jesus. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else in his life, circumstantially, that would give him reason to have hope except for the words of Jesus. And so, verse 37, He permitted no one to follow Him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. Or John, the brother of James. Then, verse 38, He came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and He saw a tumult, those who wept and wailed loudly. And when He came in, He said, why this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping. It was not uncommon when someone died that there would be individuals who would actually be hired to be on site to wail and cry loudly, very emotional when someone passed away. Sometimes you go into a memorial, and I've done so many of them in my life. Things are very sedate. Things are very quiet, very respectful. But in certain cultures, when somebody dies, it is very loud and expressive and emotional. Such was the case here. Wailing is the word that's used. And when Jesus comes up onto the scene, why are you guys wailing? She's not dead. She's sleeping. Their response, they ridiculed him. But then he put them all outside. I like that. Sometimes people that are ridiculing and critical, you know what? I'm putting it outside. I'm separating myself from those voices. I'm not listening to that. I'm not going to allow that to speak into my life. No. I'm separating myself from the ridicule, and I'm moving into what God has for me. And you should too. It says that he went in and where the child was lying. And verse 41, he took the child by the hand and he said to her, Talitha Kumi, which is translated, little girl, I say to you, arise. And here's Mark's favorite word, immediately. Immediately, the girl arose and she walked, for she was 12 years of age. And they were overcome with great amazement. Obviously, Jesus comes into the room. There's no pulse. She's dead. If she was on a machine, it would be flatlined. There's no life within her. But the one who is the resurrection and the life takes this girl by the hand who had died, calls her back to life, brings her back. It's no wonder that people were amazed. Jesus has power over death itself to call those that are dead to life. And after this, he restored her to the parents. She's walking around. And verse 43, he commanded them strictly that no one should know it and said that something should be given to her to eat. How are these parents going to not tell people what's happening? I'm sure news traveled in every direction. This wasn't the only time, by the way, that Jesus raised the dead. We'll see it in other places in the Gospels. At the tomb of Lazarus, called Lazarus out after being in the grave for 4 days. The widow of Nain's son was in a funeral procession, and Jesus just reached up, touched the coffin. God came back to life. Jesus has power, friends. That's what we've seen over the last several days on a daily walk. Power to calm the storm. Power to cast out the demon. Power to dry up an issue that's incurable. And the power even to raise the dead back to life. Whew, what a God we serve. I wonder what your needs are today. What do you need the Lord to do in your life? I want to encourage you. Call upon him. Ask for his help. Be like Jairus. Just fall at his feet and say, Lord, I need you. Help me. And you know he will. He is faithful. He loves you. Friend, have a beautiful weekend. Be sure, get in church this week. And get into a church that reads and studies the Bible. You'll be encouraged and blessed. We'll see you next week.